Hello there, English speakers. I thought I could take mostly a tour about the Swedish landscape here in Ljusdal, but we can start and talk about Pakistan and India. Pakistan decided that they should not have any more lockdowns or anything like that, and they got a spike that went up, and then the COVID cases just imploded and it burnt out. Generally we see this basically everywhere. It's good to slow it down in the beginning so that the hospitals can take care of it. After that, if you do absolutely nothing and let life go on as normal, it will die out very quickly. But you can slow the dying out. You can slow that down, which is just bad. It doesn't seem to work at all, and now people in Sweden and in Germany, which is the worst case maybe, well, it's everywhere. In the background here you have the tower, the water tower in Linköping. It's not used anymore, but it's built in 1916. Very beautiful tower to be. Unfortunately you can't go up there. It costs 25 öre, which is about 2 cents or something like that. You can't pay it though because there is no staff there. In Germany they decided to not put a ban on private events. Luckily for them, there might be big protests tomorrow in Berlin, but they decided to put a fine 50 euros for not wearing masks where they need to. Here in Sweden we don't have any mask regulations anywhere except if you're meeting elderly people at what's called like a elderly care home. Then there might be some regulations there, but I don't know. I don't think it's the law or something. It's just you have to obey the rules of the private property. Here in Sweden, law and order was an important issue for 4% of the people in 2014. Now it's a third of the population at least, maybe more now, that think that law and order is the biggest issue we have. It only not has gone worse, but it's also been seen more and more in media. And when people say now it's nothing, because they are in the establishment and they are a little bit far away from the people, they can't hide it anymore, and people are getting more and more angry. So we're seeing a change. I don't think the government and the government support parties are getting pondered. Here we have a horse that have some, I think this is for the mosquitoes. It can see through that, but it's yeah, it looks like a knight that is fighting against mosquitoes or something like that. But it can see me. If you see behind me, you can actually see that Ljusdal, it means light valley. Actually is a valley, so you can't see any mountains, but they are quite big hills. I don't think I will talk so much more about stuff. This railroad is the main railroad in the inland of the north of Sweden, so we have one railroad at the coast and one inland. This is the inland one. It's just one what's called one rail. It's not 2 ways, so you have to wait for the train from the other direction. In Sweden we don't have any trains that crash into each other because the system is built so it's proof against that. I don't know how they can fail in Europe, and they sometimes crash train into each other, and the same in USA. It seems to work here. It doesn't mean that the trains are on time, that's another issue, but they can't crash into each other, so that's good. Maybe I should talk a little bit about Islamists and communists and others. They create a very coherent kind of group, and then they can take out another group, another group, another group, and build like a power base. But if they continue to do this, they become more and more unpopular, like the Chinese Communist Party, or Islamists here in Sweden, or the Social Democratic Party. Pretty much everywhere they are getting more and more unpopular, and when people or parties actually decide to work with the Social Democrats, they realize that they get screwed. In Sweden, I think it's mostly Social Democrats who have been screwed by their cooperating parties, but they are screwing each other, I will say, both the Social Democrats and their allied parties. People start to really dislike them because they are dysfunctional and they don't really work for the best of the people. They work against each other and against everyone else outside of them for their own party, which is a total mess. And of course they are career politicians that should not be in power. So that's what's happening here. But if you have those packed group, and they can take out one and one after the other, but in the end all the small groups, they will do like an octopus, or if you think about mounted archers, if you march an army into mounted archers, the mounted archer will just scatter and they will shoot a little bit, and eventually your army will get exhausted and you will lose the battle. Even if you have not really lost it, you just lose more and more until you can't stand anymore. And this is what's happened a lot around Europe with the Social Democratic Party, and this is hopefully what will happen for the Islamists that are not so friendly to other groups, and they will screw everyone who try to allies with them. So think about it, but I'm not too worried that I have to do something about it. I think that very many other people will do it, so that's why I'm not a big alarmist about, for example, the Chinese Communist Party or Islamists. I will of course support any alarmist against them, but I don't feel that I have to be the front leader of that, because there are very many other people who do that. So this is... oh, I should have shown you nice houses, but I think I will record a shorter video about that.